Good evening. Kind of had not a bad day, just quiet day, kind of boring. I went to bed fairly late. Had a little bit of struggle sleeping, but then woke up around 8, 9 o'clock, and then uh, was up for a few hours, and then passed out like around 2. I was just gonna take a nap, and I just passed the fuck out. Woke up around like 8, and I was like, well, it's gonna be one of them days and nights. No. Figured I'd sit and cook some dinner. It was like a 1-inch thick piece of steak. I know some folks may not like that, but I'm omnivorous. I like my proteins, and I can be picky on my vegetables. I prefer, generally, if I'm gonna eat vegetables, I prefer them raw. There's only certain ones I don't mind cooked, like, potatoes, onion, corn, peas, green beans, that type of stuff. But when it comes to like carrots, spinach, stuff like that, I don't really like it cooked. Just getting my little griddle started up. There we go. Okay, turn this side down. That's the side to maybe cooking my veggies on. It'd be nice if I had like a thermometer thing, because usually it's like, and I don't have an ice tray, because the other option is I just throw a piece of ice on there. That also does help when you go to put your steak and stuff up. No, tomorrow I'm going to try and get my front porch area cleaned out. And I'll get stuff cleaned up, and what can go out to my fire pit can go out and get burned. I try to avoid like burning like glass, plastics, and shit like that. Mostly cardboard, wood, shit that isn't gonna necessarily be horrible. But I can't guarantee everything all the time, because sometimes, you know how it goes with anything cardboard box related and all that fun stuff. There's usually shit mixed in. So, and right now, because I don't have trash services right now, so any trash that I get, I actually end up I either have to take it into town with me and toss it in a dumpster out there, or that type of thing. Thankfully, because I don't use a whole lot of like shit, I don't deal with a whole lot of trash. So like my trash can might take a couple weeks to fill up unless I yeah. So, but still kind of in that wake up mode, but part of it too is partook in a little bit of medicating to deal with my back after waking up. Although this morning, when I woke up this morning, my alarm had went off, and I didn't realize I had, like, my two dogs, Momo and Coda, Misha mainly, she was sleeping on, so the way I was laying on the bed, she was on my left side if I was sleeping on my back. Well, I was on my side, and I didn't realize that through the night that she was slowly, like, as she's trying to get each time she tried to get as close up against me as possible because she'd be sleeping up against my back. It was on my side. I didn't realize that she slowly basically pushed me to the edge of the bed. So when I went to go reach for my phone because the alarm was going off, I go to reach and whoop, right off the fucking bed onto the floor. I'm like, what the fuck? I didn't realize I was that close to the edge of the bed. Fucking dog, but but yeah, no, I was like, wow, that's been a while since I've fallen out of bed. Thankfully, it wasn't while I was still asleep. I had, like I said, my alarm went off. I woke up, and as I went to reach for it, I didn't realize how close to the edge of the bed I was, and went right off. But no, I'm just gonna make something that I was gonna make I made last night, but I'm not here. Yeah, let's move this up here. Turn it down a little bit. Yeah, I made sure to season my griddle. Here, we'll turn this a little more this way so I can chat at you while I cut up the potatoes and shit. Because, yep, already pre-washed the potato. All I'm gonna do is just slice it up into like chips. I guess before I do that, just get a little bit of my seasoning, the Montreal seasoning on it. It's not my, well, it's my seasoning. I bought it from the store, but it's not my seasoning. No, I've just been obviously kind of just working my way through all this coping bullshit, you know, and some people, you know, are not fully aware. Slice my potato. But, some people aren't aware of what's all going on, you know, especially those watching this, where others are fully aware. But I'm just trying to keep myself busy these days. It's where, like, I start, you know, like the Lego thing. I'm actually enjoying that. It's been a pretty good coping thing on kind of helping refocus my brain a bit while I've been dealing with some really fucked up things over the last several years, not just the last few. And so, trying not to let stuff like that, you know, the things I've been dealing with, like, break me as a person completely, you know. I've had my moments where it's like I'm just falling apart, you know, and some of which has been seen on air at the time. Because I'm literally put down, back down here. Through all this, sharing my experience of what's going on, not just what's been going on, just kind of the whole process of things. Yeah, this darn thing definitely needed to get used, so we're gonna go through the first layer of the flesh. Got it partly scored. Yes, I tend to cut my onions a little bit differently from most people. This is also how I avoid the whole, oh my god, the onion's, you know, making me cry type thing because it's burning my eyes. makes the peeling process easier. Get a little bit of cooking oil up on this, on our taters. Go. I prefer the regular stuff, but I'm not doing that on the grill, and I've got to either go find some proper already made clarified butter, or I can just sit and make some. I just don't really want to buy that much butter. I can just make it too, but yeah. Knife's got to get sharpened. Okay. I don't waste that onion either. Alright. This guy away. Move everybody up here where the action's at. Yep. I'll season these also. I'm just getting everything in their spot. And yes, cooking in a restaurant situation, you know, I can cook faster. I'm not in a restaurant though. And also, the griddle isn't chest high. Thankfully, what I love about this is it doesn't put off enough heat underneath this to affect my counter. And yes, I keep the vent above. I got my vent above the stove going and the window open, so you know there's some air circulation going on. Okay. And always put a little Montreal onion. It's like the seasonal. I feel like it's the seasonal for white people, you know? And that sounds, you know, racist and everything, but it's okay for me to make fun of my fellow white people. We're all fucking crazy when it comes down to it. Oh, the onion's smelling good. Oh, okay, that's good. That's good. Veggies, sticky. So, yeah, veggies. Oh. No. Also, if you're in a restaurant, you're not supposed to do this shit, you know, and then cook. Otherwise, immediately get your ass to the sink. I'm at home, and yeah, I do wash my hands, and I did before I started this, so. But you know, I was talking to my buddy earlier too, sitting there like, you know, I actually enjoyed watching that Lego vid, and I was like, I'm thinking to myself like, you know, if I could afford to get more on a regular, I'd do more vids like that too. It was therapeutic. That's why I like to garden. I like cooking. It's also why I do the phototherapy stuff, because I tend to, and I do that on my own, I don't know if that's a thing in, you know, in the therapy world, but I kind of look at it in the sense of, you know, you can use just about anything when it comes down to it as a form of therapy for coping and getting through difficult times and all that stuff. And like when I do my phototherapy, I try to do that when I go on my walks, of course. And it has a combination of things that, you know, with it in that situation, because you're not just being able to get outside, go for a walk, whether you're in the city, walking around in the city, out in the woods, middle of the fucking desert, or up in Alaska walking through a snow tundra, you know, whatever. So long as you know how to find your way home, of course. But you can take that time to you know, kind of, because when you're when you're out and you're out like that, you're on walks, you're on a walk and you're doing it, you're trying to cope with something that's bugging you. Your mind and everything is a little bit more open to certain things to other things than necessarily people, you know. And like myself, it's like when it comes to people, I'll talk to anybody and everybody. I'll talk your fucking ear off, like I do now. Depends on the person though too, and the scenario. Some people I won't talk to you. Like, I don't know why. And it's not like I dislike a person or not. It's, yeah. If I don't feel comfortable with you, it might take me a moment to warm up to you, or I might start stuttering really bad and then just shut down because I don't know how to talk. This has been making it easy for me to be able to communicate things with people, that's for sure. But it also allows you to kind of express. It's a form of expression in that given moment. So, like, as I was saying, when I go on my walks, like I tend to, like down here where I live, I got a whole mountain right there. There's my one neighbor's house and property right there, and just on the other side, it's just all mountains. And so 5-minute walk, bam, I'm up in the mountains, and yeah. And so you're not only going through that healthy aspect of the physical aspect of what it's doing for you, which, you know, obviously goes into the mental and emotional and all that stuff. But it gives you that time while you're alone, especially without a lot of people. I mean, in the city, you can only do so much when it comes to not a lot of people being around. Unless you have places that you can go for that. But, I've noticed, like, when you're out intentionally whether you're out, like, doing photography with an intent. Like, I want to get a really perfect picture of a flower. Or a bee on the flower. I've noticed there's a difference between a photo that's been taken with that specific intent versus going out and just opening yourself up and allowing, in a way, for God and the environment to present the photo to you. While you're in your head and in your emotions, you kind of are opening your mind and everything else up to things that normally you're not necessarily open up to the whole time. Your eyes aren't seeing a lot of this stuff because you're kind of in this other. You're living your life. You're running the rat race. You know, so your attention isn't on kind of just your immediate world around you. It's more or less on, in that moment while you're out on that walk dealing with that thing, you're sort of, you're not trying to shut out what you're dealing with and all that stuff. You're trying to learn from it, get different perspectives. And a lot of times I found on walks, even if I can't find the words to communicate it or speak it, there are things that I see that are going on around me that are kind of like a good, example, representation of something that I can look at as sort of kind of like, okay, I get it. It's like the tree thing that I've used a couple times in previous vids, where you've got this cut tree, and there's two different ones. There's one that was a shrub, so basically a bush, basically, and they cut it down to the freaking ground and to where there's just nothing. It's just a stub coming out of the ground, and it was regrowing. And then there was a tree that was completely cut, and you had another one starting to grow up out the center of it. You could even see the roots out and coming through and all that stuff. And so it's like, no matter what life throws at you or does to you, even when you think there's nothing left of you, there's still that ability to sprout and grow new. And so you can see these types of things in that world around you, in that environment around you, whether you're in the city or anywhere else, because, yeah, you start opening your brain up to these things, and not just at your heart, too. And I don't think a lot of people not necessarily recognize, but realize that there's your entire, like your brain, your eyes, everything. It's almost like you, in a subtle way, open doors in your perspective of the world around you, and you kind of, even though nobody's around, you allow yourself to become vulnerable to your environment, or to that environment, and allow it to sort of speak to you in a way that you can understand it. And so, like, I'm sitting here just messing with the onions while I'm trying to think about how I'm saying this. You end up being able to a way, almost translate kind of your emotions and the things that you're thinking about and the things that you're dealing with in that moment are able to be translated into a photograph. It's like allowing the environment to speak for you, and it makes things a lot more unique. So, working under a different lighting, so under low lighting, I gotta get this light. Yeah. Neighbors, when they pulled came over and basically started dismantling my home because they thought I wasn't gonna return. Yeah, I've got to get up in here and recheck the wiring and all that stuff, and it's kind of hard for me to hold these big fucking lights up one-handed and do all this other shit. But let's see here. Oh, screw it. It's going on my steak anyways. But no, that's kind of, if I knew how to, I guess you could say knew how to turn that into a business, like a form of like actual therapy, to teach others on a coping method. And it's not just a coping method and all that, it can quite easily become somebody's hobby, new passion. And it's not like, people, it's something that's done intentionally, but, you've got like equine therapy for a lot of kids in the community that deals with sensory overloads, or other various forms of it, like including those that are blind, hearing impaired, all of it, socially impaired. But Then you have, you know, other forms of therapy like that. You get people, you know, you got people who like their ammo therapy. Then you got people who like, if you don't know what ammo therapy is, just go to Demolition Ranch, Kentucky, Ballistics, or check out Brandon Herrera's channel, or any of them, and they'll show you what ammo therapy looks like. But you're allowing your in kind of a way, you're not pushing yourself to find necessarily an answer to any specific problem, but it's teaching you how a way to kind of manage those difficulties that you might be dealing with, or find reason or logic. You know, it's like, you know, even with relationships, it's like you sit back and you just kind of watch the world around you, and you go, you know, from my perspective, this ant that I see over here, you know, is all by itself. It doesn't see, you know, it may not see this other ant that's way up over here, because from their perspective, that could be like a mile apart, or a half mile apart. Yeah, if they had clear vision or view, they might be able to see each other. You know, however ants communicate, you might be able, whatever. The pheromones, all that stuff, that's aside from the mess. I'm speaking point of view. It's almost like they're completely alone, not apart, but from our point of view, they're only like a foot apart, 2 feet apart. So they're not really alone, they're right next to each other. It's just, they're in that space that kind of puts a barrier around their point of view. And so being able to get out there like that, and you see these different things, and you're going, you know, okay, you know, I get it. Whether you believe in God, and it's your time to be able to, see, for me, it's kind of my time to be able to go walk with God and bitch. It's the way I put it. So I can, you know, just kind of put my issues in God's hands, because sometimes I'll bitch too much even on here. But, like I was saying, if I knew how to turn something like that into something that I could help others with, I would. And I don't want it to, at the same time, in essence, I don't really want it to take away from what I really want to do in my life, and that's to be able to, I do want to start my own business, and I want to be able to do this for more people. Like, I miss cooking. I enjoyed cooking in restaurants and everything like that. It's just, I obviously have to, you know, cook a little faster than this, but, which I know how and I can, but I want to be able to actually, like, work at my own pace, within my own capabilities, that type of stuff. Obviously, I don't want people sitting there for 30 minutes waiting for a single fucking steak and some chipped potatoes. And that onion. Oh, I'm starting to get an itchy nose for some reason. I get that a lot when I start talking about certain subjects and all that, and plus at times there I feel like it's I'd say allergies, but it's wintertime, and I'm not sure what would be producing pollen at this time of year. Not done yet. Got some aioli. Unless it's breakfast food and shit like that, I pretty much have garlic on everything. And if you didn't know, garlic's actually really good for your heart. And it's good for the blood too. It's bad when I'm sitting here struggling to open this shit. Just don't, sometimes it's like I just don't have the hand strength like I used to. Havarti cheese. I generally like Swiss, but this is what I've got to work with. Probably use that as a dip for my taters too. And grab the other kind of cheese with holes in it. It's not Swiss. I'm going to put a couple slices on this sucker because these are kind of thin slices. Go. Shit. I guess while that's doing its thing, I can go grab a plate real quick and put my taters up on there, you know, just cobalt blue plates. I love these things. I probably should get another set because I'm washing my dishes like twice a day, but that's probably not a bad thing. I only have like 4 plates, 4 bowls, that type of thing, just a basic set. But you know, I keep hoping that my place will sell, so that way it's especially one big thing that I don't have to deal with anymore or worry about, because it's been a big stressor. Because this place is, for me, it's been hell. Because after moving here, it just sort of took my physical health out and took it down pretty quick. Yeah, NF isn't a very nice thing. You know, I was watching a couple of these other channels. Like, I realized, not necessarily realized, I forgot that the NF, or the CTF, the Children's Tumor Foundation, sorry, turn this side of the griddle basically down without taking too much heat off of it. Ugh. Last but not least for this guy, a little bit of the Italian seasoning to go right into the cheese as it melts out. But yeah, I got to put some oil up on this on the taters. So again, I got some shredded cheese up in this shit, so let's do that. Got some double cheddar blend Tillamook. One of these days I gotta go over to the Tillamook Cheese Factory again. I haven't been there in years. I remember going there as a kid for a field trip, and in the factory they had this catwalk where you can walk through the factory, but it was all, it was windowed off. It was sealed off from the factory itself, so that way, kids and shit aren't, nothing's getting contaminated. But you can see the process of how it was. You can walk through the whole factory, and just like most places, it ends off in the gift shop, of course. And the gift shop's full of all the cheese that they make there. But yeah, no, it was a good time there. You can see, you can even see where they like the ice cream and shit like that. A whole mix of things. The experience of going there is actually fun. That's probably from here. That's about 3-4 hour drive from where I'm at right now. It's just like if I wanted to go to the world's last Blockbuster, which I want to go there before this place sells, and even after, I might have to make a trip through Bend because it's like 2 hours from here, 2.5 hours tops. I love that place. So I definitely will have to go there after the I definitely have to go there before moving. Now, when it comes to different places I've been looking at moving and all that, it's a combination of things that I've been looking for. Obviously, a nicer home. A lot nicer home than this at this point. And, at least, at minimum, a half-acre of land. I'd prefer something with an acre or more, so I have not just room for large gardening and being able to expand it as much as I want, in essence, if I wanted to, but a decent greenhouse and room for my dogs to run, but it'd still be fun to have room to be able to go ride around on my three-wheeler out in the property. But having that space too, I just thought it would be great to have a couple things, especially like if I had like 2 greenhouses, one of them for obviously more food growth and stuff, growing food, starts, all that stuff, but the other one purely just as like a year-round indoor garden, like to basically just go sit and relax in. And possibly even get a couple honeybee nest things or whatever to set up in there, so that way, not only got it, them pollinate, the whole pollinating stuff. Have one, at least one in each of the greenhouses or whatever. But you probably get some killer honey that way too. What's funny that, I'm allergic to bees. I'm not really afraid of them. I'll stop and talk to them, actually. Like, here on the property, we've got wasp nests, some different bee nests, and there's even a couple hornets nests. Hornets, obviously, are a little bit more aggressive, but I don't freak out on them either. They're just like, I just don't freak out on them either. But hoping to find a place that not only has that property for that type of stuff, but where whether I'm on my, in my yard, should upload this first, a little more, but that all the way off. That in the thinkage. And you know what? I will do a quick rearrange. But be in an area that I can still go on my walks, be able to, continue the photography that I like to do. It's not I don't make money on it. Anytime because I can print my own photos and all that stuff. I can frame them. which I've done before. And I've sold some at the market, a couple at the market, but most I did as gifts. Um, then definitely need one of those. Um, but to also, I'm one of those weird ones where my expectations on a home, yeah, it's gotta be a nice home. I guess there's a certain appeal that I look for. But area, I'd like to be in an area where, like I've said before, and I like to be able to hear the trains that are going by. At least that, or be in an area where I can hear, excuse me, where I'm near like some form of Air Force base or air base or airport where I can hear the planes. So I like hearing that stuff. Especially the jets and shit that fly over here from the nearby airbase. I really like hearing that, and I enjoy hearing the trains. But if I can find a location where I could hear both, that would be just perfect. Yet at the same time, yeah, it's the environment that I'm looking for, the people, in essence, that I want to surround myself with. Because a lot of people out here, I don't know, I just don't fit in Oregon. And so, I wasn't born here. My family was, I wasn't. It's just, even though I grew up here, I still don't really fit in here. But it'd just be fun to be able to kind of find it in it, when it comes to moving, find the right place where I can still follow my passions, still follow my working dreams when it comes to starting a business. Find a way to kind of combine them all together. Momo and Clore wrestling, and still do these, and maybe help, not only just entertain people, but maybe show people other ways of coping. When they're dealing with some sort of struggles, anxieties, and life's like really kicking them in the balls. Because, I don't give a shit who the person is. They could be, in the physical sense, the weakest human being you could ever see out there, or they could be one of the world's strongest men. There's always going to be everybody has a weak spot, and there's always going to be something that's going to break you or take you down. Come on. You got the toughest guy. You get some of the toughest guys out there, and as soon as they get a cold or the flu, they're the biggest fucking babies in the world. So you get all these tough guys that act tough, but then it's like, no, everybody has those weak spots. Everybody has those weak moments. Everybody has those moments that they break, and finding ways to cope with them, to go through them, allow yourself to kind of go through the motions. Even if you're going a little crazy, allow yourself to go a little crazy. Just don't lose that awareness that allows you to that causes you to go just lose it altogether, and you just, where you lose self-control altogether. Allow yourself to kind of just go through the bullshit. It's okay to feel the things that you do and all that stuff. Now, depending on what you feel, depends on what you do when it comes to dealing with it. Because there's some things I'm not going to tell you to go fucking act on, because everybody gets a little crazy in them. And if you were to act on every little thought or impulse, no, then you'd probably need to be in a fucking padded room or a prison cell, because you're probably going to do something like really stupid to hurt someone. So long as what you do isn't affecting somebody else's life in a way that it does, intentional harm or anything like that to others, and it's helping you, you're coping, I would say go for it. If you want to sit and play video games, like I do on my phone, I would do so more on my computer. I have a couple games finally downloaded I can play on, but right now I've got to get used to doing it again. I used to game all the time, but I dealt with, a combination of things that has caused me to kind of have that mental stigma of I'm afraid to get into gaming again to a certain extent. Just say that it's probably a big part of it, not necessarily a big part, but probably part of why I had issues in a previous relationship, not this last one necessarily. Let alone, I gamed enough that I actually my TV blew up while gaming, and then eventually I've burned out a Wii, I've burned out a PlayStation, I've burned out an Xbox. And then I've repaired said Xbox, the red ring of death and everything, and then killed it again. So yeah, I recognize that I have to maintain control or in moderation of that type of situation. If you were only here, this is some good shit because I cook you some too. But no, I'm paying close attention to when it comes to moving, everything like that. Just a combination of everything. And it's at a medium well. But juicy as hell. And taste the onion just right. It's caramelized. Oh, the garlic aioli's just kind of complementing it nice, and that Havarti's just got a nice, like a mild flavor to it. Oh man, that was so good. But anyways, I'm not gonna sit here and eat all this in front of you. I hope you got to enjoy it. The vid. And a bit of this ramble and all that. So, thanks for watching. Have a good night. And take care. Bye.